Hey guys, welcome back. In the last video, we talked about my artistic goals. In this video, we're going to discuss the plan to achieve them. My hope and goal for this video is to present ideas that hopefully will inspire you to make your own plan that can meet your specific needs to achieve your specific goals. And why would you want to do this? What's the point? One, you won't necessarily have to go through a very expensive school. It gives you a more structured approach, some direction. It gives you goals that you can reach. It gives you a sense of progress because you do track your progress. At least you should be tracking your progress. And of course, because you've made the plan, you can be flexible with it. You can rearrange classes and things you're going to study, especially if maybe you get halfway through it and you want to change your direction slightly. Maybe you wanted to go from figure drawing to environment painting as your primary thing that you do. Maybe you go less on anatomy and more on environment painting. A lot of benefits to having this kind of plan, especially if you want to be someone who does it yourself in a self-study type of environment where you're not spending potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars going to an expensive school. Now, how did I actually get started with this idea, this concept of making a roadmap for yourself? Actually, it came from a comic book artist, one of the best. He's a fantastic artist. His name is David Finch, and he was talking in it was a YouTube video. He was going through, and they were doing Q&A, and he laid out a plan of how to get better. And I wrote out the plan, and I said, I can do that. Like, I'm going to do that. It inspired me to get moving on studying some of the basics again. But I've also heard from other people in the past where you want to be able to do your study, but then apply the study. So do some work and then do some imagination work. And so my plan was to do the study, but then work on my project, which I mentioned in the previous video. I'm working on my own project. So I was going through this figure study stuff, and I'm trying to do this picture for my project, which of course is nothing about figure. It was more of an environmental style painting. And I was so frustrated because I still have the image in my head, but I can't quite get that image out on paper. My weakness as an artist really is environment painting. And so I have to overcome that. And when I was looking at the plan that David Finch has, it doesn't really go much into environment painting because he's a comic book artist. He has different goals than I do, and he's fantastic at what he does, and I am going to be learning from him. I am learning from him. He's part of my lesson plan, but I had to add a lot more things, right? There were holes that I needed to fill in my education. And so that got me going on this research plan to figure out how do I best learn in a structured way from home without going to an expensive school and without getting subscriptions, because I do my best not to do subscriptions. So in my research, I came across a lot of online resources, one of which I've had access to for a long time, so I bought it a long time ago, was ArtCamp. ArtCamp goes very, very in-depth into environmental paintings and things that can help you with environmental paintings. So I knew I had to have that in my list, but it wasn't as comprehensive as I would like. And I feel there's better teachers at certain things. So if I want to learn environmental painting, ArtCamp is great. But if I want to learn figure drawing, I should go to David Finch for figure drawing. If I want to learn anatomy, like really detailed muscular, anatomy, I should probably go to someone else as well. And so I tried to identify the best teacher I could for each subject. And not only that, I wanted to have more than one teacher for every subject. So I don't want to be a copy of any one person. I want to be able to see a topic many times from different viewpoints to help understand it better and to really develop my own style, because naturally you're going to learn from everybody. And if you're learning from a lot of people, you're not going to look like any one of them. So one of the ones I looked into first was Cube Brush, the art school, which honestly, it looks like a great program, especially if you want to go work in the game industry. Like there's a lot of digital painting techniques. It's definitely a digital painting class if that's what your goal is. And he teaches techniques that you would use in a digital painting environment, which is great if that's what you want to do. My goal is not to go in the game industry to work for someone else. I want to work for myself with my own IP, putting out my own products. And so I also have this goal of eventually I want to get back to doing real oil paintings and watercolor and other things, which I enjoy doing. And I want that to be the main thing that I do and to limit the digital stuff as much as I can because I already spend too much time on this computer. I'd like to be able to go to a different place and do my artwork. So I didn't want to necessarily learn all these digital techniques. Even though I'm learning digitally right now, I want to learn things that I can then take and apply in a real traditional setting without being like handicapped by, oh my gosh, where's the liquify tool? No, I'm not going to do that. If I have to move something, I want to redraw it. If the eye is too small, I'm going to draw it bigger. I'm going to erase it and draw it bigger. I need to be able to have the skill to do that and to not be so precious with everything I've already drawn that I can't draw it again very quickly. That's my goal. So that's a goal I've set for myself. Since I'm drawing digitally, you could say I'm giving myself a handicap. And I accept that. That's okay because I know what my goal is. This is the way I have to do it. So QBrush, overall, it looks like a really great program. And I did buy it. It was on a massive sale. And so I went ahead and picked it up and I'm going to, I'll go in there and check out certain things, kind of cherry pick classes I want to take because it does look like a good class. It's not the thing that I wanted to use as my sole curriculum. So similar to Art Camp, it didn't quite meet all the needs that I have. So I kept looking. I ran across this amazing website, such a great resource. I'm going to pull it up for you. Okay, here we go. The Solo Artist from Radio Runner's Curriculum. I'll try to put the link to this down below because this is where I would suggest you start if you don't want to go to QBrush or Art Camp or something like that. If you want to do your own thing so that you can customize it for you, just like I have to customize my learning for me, this was so helpful. And just to give you an idea of what this is 9 terms. And I believe he actually kind of was inspired by QBrush on this, but he customized it more for himself. And so it goes over figure drawing, perspective, composition, storytelling, clothed figure drawing, character design, animals, environmental designs, caricatures. It goes through so much cool information. And when I looked at this, I'm like, this is more me as far as what I want to learn. And the great thing is a lot of this information is free. Not all of it, but there is a lot of it that's just on YouTube. And how wonderful is that? Either YouTube or like Drawbox. I had never heard of Drawbox before seeing this website, and I am so impressed. I included Drawbox in my lesson plan for myself. Fantastic website, and it's all free. There's so much good information here. Now, one of the problems I had with this is like some of the classes they suggest doing are subscription based, or some of them are kind of expensive. And so I felt like I had enough from other teachers that I could not do those classes, especially because I don't want to do subscriptions. If I can't buy it and own it, I don't want it. In fact, here's a good point. I already have a lot of resources. I mean, I've been trying to learn artwork for a very long time, and you get in a habit of, you see a really cool deal or something and you pick it up, and then maybe you watch it, but you don't really study it. So you didn't really get the most out of it. Or maybe you started it, but you never finished. Maybe it was like a longer lesson and you never were able to really finish the class, right? This happens often. And so I have a lot of resources, some of which are not even available anymore and are exceptionally good still. So I want to use those resources instead of paying for other ones, right? But this lesson plan is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So what I did, after looking at the various things I looked at, what I did is I started with this. And I went through every single thing that they suggested, and I decided, is this something that would bring me value that I would be willing to take on my plan. And if it was, I wrote it down. I didn't follow these terms. I just wrote them down. And I made a big giant list of all the things that I wanted to do. And there's a lot of things like this Frank Riley stuff. I didn't really actually do that. The Steve Houston. I didn't look at the new Masters Academy, right? It was too expensive for me. So there's a lot of stuff that I did end up skipping, but I feel extremely confident that the lesson plan that I have has everything I need. And I've made sure to go through several different instructors to make sure I get multiple points of view. It's very good. This is a great starting point though. And if you don't know exactly what you want to do, you can just start with this. Why not? Like, no one says you have to do this verbatim the whole time. Once you get started on this and you're going through it and you're like, you know what, I want to kind of modify how I'm doing it, then just modify it. Just change it. That's the beauty of doing it yourself from home. You have the freedom to choose and make educated decisions on how to proceed with your art goals and your career, your business, whatever it is that you're going to do. Okay, I'm going to pull up my actual lesson plan. Now, again, a lot of the stuff is not necessarily available to everybody because I've been collecting these things, these resources, for like 15 years at least. And so some of these videos were really old. Like, for example, David Finch. I feel like I just found out about him within the last year, but I actually found out that I had his figure drawing class from like 15 years ago or something crazy, a long time ago. I had bought it. I had it saved in my Dropbox because, again, this is my personal copy. I'm not sharing it. So I had bought this. I had probably watched it back then, but oh my goodness, do I need to do it again? So I have a lot of resources. And what I would suggest is to write down everything that you think would be useful to you. So that starts with the solo class, and then it goes to your own resources. Like, I added in David Finch, all this David Finch stuff. I don't believe any of it was in the curriculum that I just showed you. So I added this in because I feel like he's a great example of being able to draw the figure from imagination, which is what I want to be able to do. I also added in learning techniques. And this actually was in a big way inspired by QBrush, because in one of the later semesters, he has how to learn more effectively or something like that. When I saw that on there, I'm like, yes, I need to make sure I am doing my best job to be effective and efficient and productive in doing my education so I don't waste time. Even if it feels like I waste time, I know that learning is not always the best way to learn is not always the way that seems like the best. For example, here's a good thing to think about. There was a study done one time where they were teaching people to like shoot a basketball. And one group shot a basketball from the free throw line. I may have some of the details wrong, but just give me a break on that. The point is the same. One group was shooting the free throws, and another group would shoot free throws or something, and then like 3-pointers, and then like closer up, like they were shooting from around the court more so. And when they would ask them like where they ranked themselves on how much they were learning, the people that were just doing the free throws, that's it. They thought they were doing a good job. The other group thought they were doing worse. Then they actually finally, I don't know how long it was, but they eventually did a test of one group versus the other group. And wouldn't you know that the group that did better was a group shooting around the court. Even though they thought they were doing worse, they actually did better in the long run. And that was a very valuable point that stuck with me. So when I do this lesson plan, I want to make sure I'm doing it the most effective in the long run, not what feels good in the short term. So I started this off with learning techniques, which again, I don't believe this was in the solo curriculum that I just pulled up for you. And the most effective of these is the Secra classes. These are amazing. I am going to try to remember to put these in the description below because these are very, very useful. You'll also see, I've kind of broken this up into terms. I have things on the side so I can track. When did I start? When did I finish? Was it successful? What was the ratings? You'll notice I actually hid my real columns for this because I don't want to, put a comment on here like this class was useless because I don't want to do that. But for my own self, I do have those kind of notes. I have all the notes on how I felt each class was, whether I failed or the class wasn't good or the class was amazing. So I have lots of things I'm tracking for my future reference. And this allows me to see like, hey, I'm getting things done. I'm getting classes finished. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? That was 2 weeks. I didn't do anything, you know? So it's good. It's useful. Once you have your giant list of every single thing that you can do, organize it in a way where you're not just doing one whole thing for one semester and then never touching it again. There's a reason why schools will say you're taking anatomy 1, semester 1. Semester 2, you're taking anatomy 2. Semester 3, you're taking anatomy 3. And every one is harder than before, right? You're going more in depth where you're learning additional information to become a more of an expert over that subject matter. That's what I did here as well. Other than learning techniques, that was one and done. But we have anatomy here. All this mostly drawing from imagination and then doing some reference studies. I also have suggestions to myself on how to do the assignments, which, I mean, this is a self-assigned thing. But then I'm going to go look at painting, and I'm going to look at light and color, and how to draw clothing, and then how to do perspective. And I already know a lot of this stuff because I've been doing this for a long time. But again, I'm going back to the fundamentals. And this would be like perspective 1. And now I have perspective 2 in a later class. So organize this in a way that makes sense to you. In fact, here's an example. With David Finch, I went through all of his anatomy related stuff, mostly to get an idea of how to draw from imagination with simplified forms, to draw gesture, dynamic gesture, and to draw good looking figures because he has a good looking style. But then I have this. I purchased the Proko anatomy course, and I forget how long it's supposed to take, 4 to 9 weeks. I don't know. Maybe it'll take 9 weeks, but I'm going to memorize the muscles, and I'm using this course to do so. Later on, I'll come back to Finch because I want to be grounded in a really good looking style. So I'm going to go through him, but I have a lot of other influences in here as well. In fact, there's some I need to add on here that I have more Proko, Loomis. I'm going to do a head challenge where I'll just be drawing from reference, which this was inspired by Ahmed Al-Dori. So there's a lot of things baked into this that you can do. And a lot of the stuff, if you look at the solo artist course, the curriculum, you'll catch on these same kind of things. Like they suggest doing this stuff too, and I think it's a great idea. Then I have term 4. I'm just going to do Art Camp 3. Now that does cost a little bit of money, but if you want to learn environments, I don't know of a better way to do so than taking it from someone who's an expert on it. Later on, I go more into perspective. It'd be like perspective, 3 or something at this point. Because some like environment has, like some of these art camps have some perspective baked into it. So I'll be learning things as I go. We got light and color. So again, I've organized this in a way so that I touch subjects over and over again. Like here's light and color again. Near the end of this, we're getting into some really heavy topics like this James Gurney book. If there's such a thing as a Bible on light and color, this is it. Same thing with Scott Robertson's How to Draw. No, that is not it. Where is it? I have it in here somewhere. But if you're talking about perspective and technical drawing, there's some books that are just fantastic for it. And I have them baked in. I have composition, perspective, more drawing stuff, creature design, business classes. It's like, do you want to actually make a business at it? You need to learn some business stuff. Of course, this is specific to artwork because I've already taken other business classes outside of this. There's a lot of classes here that were inspired by the solo artist curriculum, like a lot of these modern day James, and they made an attempt to split them up, like this Drawbox, which I'm so impressed with Drawbox. It looks amazing. They suggested split it up at first. Do lessons 1, 2, and 0, 1, 2, and then later on, I don't know where else it is. Let's see. Drawbox. Here, there you go. And then you do lessons 6 and 7 down here. And then here you do some challenges. And then, yeah, so they've already tried to break it up for you. I may have modified it and removed, maybe I removed one or two of them because I didn't want to do every single one. This works for me. So this is my class I'll be going through. I haven't tried to say how long this will all take. A lot of these are kind of guesses. Maybe it'll take a week, maybe it'll take a day, maybe it'll take as long as it takes. As I go through this, I think I'll have a better idea, but I'm really not concerned with how long it takes. I'm going to try to master each thing to the level that I need to master it. Right now, like with what I'm doing here, I'm actually not trying to master it. I'm trying to get a foundation, and I'm going to master it later on through continued study, through these gesture studies I'll be doing quite often, through the anatomy course, and then through coming back again and doing like these little videos here are going to cover everything and maybe more than what all these did. So I'll have a chance to come back to it again. And I have another class I want to add in here that takes more of a Riley approach to drawing the figures. And so I need to add it in. So I'll be mastering these things over time. I've already made changes to this as well, because originally I had all David Finch, and then it went right into Proko for anatomy design. And then it's like, or for the anatomy course. And then I think I had even more stuff after that. I'm like, no, I have to do a little bit each semester. I've broken things up. I've made changes. I'm not worried about it. Anytime I need to make a change, I just make the change. It's a wonderful thing. So if you've managed to write down all of the classes that you want to take, and then you added in the additional things that you want to take just for you, and then you've cut out anything that you really don't think applies to you, and you've organized it, then great. You just get started. Start with your learning techniques. Why put that at the end when you want to be learning effective from the very beginning? Even if it feels like you're going slower sometimes, take the time. You could watch these in a day or something. They're not that long. And then apply that to every single thing you do from here on out. Make sure you take notes and make sure you track your progress, because it feels so good to be able to say, yep, this is done. It's wonderful. The last thing I would say is to try to join a community. And hopefully we can build a community here. I plan on starting to do live streams. Hopefully you can join and we can start talking to each other and encouraging each other and helping each other grow. If it grows big enough, then maybe we can have a more permanent home somewhere where we can all gather to do all of that. For now, I have joined many other Discords to just talk to people, and it's already been helpful. Like I've met some people that I talked to one-on-one. It feels good to be talking to other artists and seeing them grow, to see their progress. It encourages you to keep going. You can help each other out, ask questions and get answers and help them solve problems. And you don't want to be an artist all by yourself, like alone, where you don't have any friends, you don't talk to anyone, no one knows who you are. It's going to be really hard if you don't know who anyone is and no one knows who you are. And I would say that's one benefit if you actually went to a physical school, right? It's the networking, because a lot of the people that you're working with, assuming that you're really working hard and doing a good job, you're going to be meeting other people that are also doing that. And those are the more likely people to go get jobs in the industry, or if that's what your goal is, in which case you get to know them. And if you're good at making friends and just keeping in touch with people and building that network, that can be a career-making thing to go to a school like that. But you can also do that from home as well. Join communities, start getting to know people, talk to other artists, and help answer questions, help do critiques, just get involved. Let people know who you are. Well, that's my plan. I know I didn't go through every single thing on here, but I highly, highly suggest going to this website, which I will link below. This is a great way to get started. Unless you want a full curriculum that you can just buy, in which case QBrush is pretty good. But maybe you need something different. Maybe you really want to just go head on into real media painting, in which case maybe you go to New Masters Academy or something else. There may be something better for you. But if you want to do a at-home study, you can start with this. Modify it to fit yourself. So hopefully this inspires you. Hopefully it helps give you little guidance. If you have any specific questions, maybe on certain classes that I included, I'd be happy to talk to you in the comments, so drop a comment. If you got some value out of this, I'd appreciate if you drop a like, subscribe to hear more. And with that, take care and God bless.